Good afternoon and welcome to the NASDAQ Sport Complex as we are just about ready for the 2 p.m. local tip-off between Bravehearts Basketball Club of Malawi and the Johannesburg Giants from South Africa. You're watching the FIBA Road to the B.A.L 2026 here on FIBA's YouTube channel, live and exclusive, and the opening salvo is just coming up short for Bravehearts Basketball Club. Wearing their traditional green, facing off against the Giants in blue. And we hope that broadcast is a little bit more up to snuff than the first game of this morning, where we had to work a few gremlins out of the network. Seems as though the transmission is up to snuff, just need to get all the cameras synced up and ready to go. But in the meantime, you're all very most welcome here in the NASDAQ Center. And we hope we're going to get a good afternoon of basketball here in this road to the B.A.L. Two teams that have come here to do business, looking to punch their ticket to the Elite 16. The Bravehearts and the Giants. Violation and a turnover. There's still a 2-0 scoreline, and hopefully our little score bug will turn up on screen presently. Giants turn the ball over on an unforced error. No, it looks like it was touched by Bravehearts going out of bounds. Now the foreshadowed turnover is reality. Bravehearts take over. So they look to transition the ball back up court. Bravehearts in green, Giants in blue. Bravehearts run that fairly controlled half-court offense. Giants a little bit more of the fast transition-oriented team of the two. Given off at the high post by Sibayoni. Are all knotted up at 2 points apiece. FIBA pulls up for a three-pointer and he nails it and is fouled in the act of shooting. Well, the book on Billy is that he's sometimes a streaky shooter. Well, if that's the streak he's going to be on today, including the and three, that's the kind of streak I believe that Coach Griffin Kalua would like to see very much of this afternoon from FIBA. Sibayoni. Penetration into the paint, the lead just not quite what was desired. These Giants move very quickly up court and drop in one off the glass. Make the score 6-4 in favor of the team from Malawi. So once again, the Group E action from the East Division. A week later than all the rest of the competition. We had a bit of a scheduling conflict here in the NASDAQ Center. Got that all ironed out, but it does mean we're a week later than the rest of the competition. So the final slots will be filled here on these hardwoods in Lusaka. The delay did cause the necessary strife in traveling, so the teams are going to have to work out a little bit of the cobwebs and some of the road salt to get things ready. We saw a bit of that in this morning's affair, which pitted the basket hounds from Zimbabwe against Mozambique's Ferroviário de Beira. And de Beira clearly the team that traveled better here to the tournament thus far in a convincing 30-plus victory over the Zimbabwean side. As big Daniel Prinsloo connects on the first of 2 free throws. So the Mozambican side able to post an opening round victory. And of course, that's very important. Not to say that basket hounds are not going to be able to place, but of course that does put one behind the proverbial 8 ball. And they'll have to get rested quickly as they're going to come out tomorrow morning and play the lunchtime fixture yet once again. So a short rest. But now our focus turns to the sides from Malawi and South Africa. And so far, good pitch battle going on. Ball out of bounds is a chance for an instructional moment from Griffin Kalua. Nice dish under the paint and laid softly off the glass into the net. Lovely looking basket off penetration for the team in green, the Bravehearts Basketball Club. Wonderful drive off a beautiful turn by Ozabo, just couldn't convert. The Bravehearts transitioning quickly, moving from left to right across your screen here in the first quarter of play. Pop back out outside the perimeter. Billy, 2 for 2. The sharpshooter. My apologies, that was Limby, looking a little bit Billy-esque, almost the same stroke, certainly the same result, and another tray falls for Bravehearts. So Ian Limby at the charity stripe. It is Billy at the charity stripe. Cameraman pulled a fast one on me, going for close-up of somebody who didn't make the shot. Anyway. Giants try to enact the same type of distance shooting at their own end of the court. They'll settle for a medium-range jumper. Turnover. Slow with a long ball to the arc, off the rebound, coming in to set up a little jumper. Tough shot to make for Malong, give him credit where credit is due. Trying to equalize. They have to go back on defense. A little bit of early game sloppiness to be expected. Prinsloo from downtown. Good looking stroke from outside the arc for Daniel Prinsloo. South African side take the lead. Chance to extend said lead. A little banker off the glass, comes up short. Bravehearts moving quickly to the rim. Nothing doing. And a tie up in the paint, but it's going to be whistled by the arbitrage. Princelow coming over to add his support to the officiating. I'm sure they appreciate all the help they can get. So coming to help out, try to set up a screen, and I think that wasn't to the liking to the officials. They returned the favor after he had been so happy to point out a few tips to game officials. They're going to tag him with an illegal screen. And Bravehearts gladly take possession of the basketball. Still trailing by a point. Ball worked into the low post, turnaround, no good. Pushing foul in the key. Foul against BBC. I'm not speaking of the broadcasting firm from Great Britain, but the Bravehearts Basketball Club, founded back in 2012. They've certainly come here on a mission. A mission which I would say is mirrored by the ambitions of the Giants. Coach Florsheim, better known as Flosh Nguyen, pardon, has come here looking to move on. Marcus Zabor is tagged with a foul. Substitution on the side for the Giants. And said Ozabor will check out of the ball game. Kirk Smith at the charity stripe. Shoots 50% off the free throws. And we're all knotted up at 12. Three-pointer for the Giants. Turnaround banker is outside of banking hours. A little bit of an awkward posturing, but the rebound is back up and in, and the Giants extend their lead to 5. Linde chooses Cunningham as his option. Running underhander. Won't fall for Billy. I'm 100% sure what the siren was forward. Having about 48 seconds remaining in the half. Princelow is just extremely helpful. directing traffic out there. The big fella commands a presence, that's for certain. You can't miss him. So a chance to regroup and talk things over as we have completed a quarter of play. And both Griffin, Kalua, and Flush and Ngwenya take their opportunity to reset strategy. Bravehearts have been around since 2015. So really trying to continue on the legacy in their 10th season, whereas the Giants, the upstart, both teams coming off domestic titles in 2025. A little bit disappointed to be only the runners-up at their own International Basketball Challenge, losing to Zambia's Munali Suns. Giants bested the KwaZulu-Natal Marlins 79-76 to win South Africa's National Club Championship. And the most distinguishing feature of the Giants is that he is 100% South African. No imports. Slow. Looking down, trying to get in low post, relinquishes. Good drive at the bucket, cannot finish up. Rebound also no good. Prinsloo is pickpocketed under the hoop and thus endeth the Giants' possession. Chance for the Bravehearts. Billy in transition. Set up the offense. The hook shot is good for the Bravehearts. I don't know if the bank was called, but whatever the case may be, it's going to go up on the score sheet as 2 points. And not one of those fellas cares how it went into the basket. When you're espousing the philosophy that the B.A.L is where African talent meets global opportunity. It's come out and said we're ready for that stage. So they're looking to make a statement here in Lusaka. So 19-14, and my apologies, was a little bit hasty on calling the end of the first quarter. I mentioned, we've had some issues with picture clarity, and I'm commentating to the same pictures you're seeing. In some cases, you may be seeing them clearer than I am, and so some things aren't as apparent. And without a score bug down beneath, which we had in the first game and now are unfortunately not availed to here in the second. Sometimes have to take a guess at what's going on rather than knowing 100%. Try not to get that wrong all too often, but we are seeing better pictures than what certainly the fans of Basket Hounds and B.A.L were able to see in the first half. One of the supporters in the chat described it as like watching a slideshow, and that's was a very generous description of the quality of the broadcast. But hopefully we've got most of the bugs worked out. We'd sure love to have that score bug up in the picture for you, and I assume that's being worked on as we speak. Liam Reed with the turnaround. Dropping back in defense. And manages to snuff out Marquise Cunningham's attempt. Shot from distance, not falling for the Giants. Finally, a jump ball called. Yeah, it's a tough moment for the officials. At what point are we going to call traveling? Well, when they try to get back up with the ball, that's the obvious moment. But there was a lot of movement, and good on the arbitrage to jump in, and we'll jump it up. Which, of course, will go to the possession arrow. And for this time, the Bravehearts, the lucky winners of the ball. Zabler runs it to the opposite side. And from that side, we get a little short-range jumper to fall for the Bravehearts. Diwa pressured, relinquishes to Reed, and Reed makes a meal of it and tosses the ball away. Pitch underneath, trying to back his way in and not getting a whole lot of cooperation from Sibignoni. There's a shot from well outside the arc that won't fall for the Giants. Still holding the lead here in the second quarter of play. The foul is called. Jumper from Kirk Smith will not go. And he will, in fact, be called over to the bench by Griffin Kalua. A couple of substitutions for the Bravehearts. Cunningham. And at the other end of the court, it is Sibignoni who rattles one back on the second chancer. There's a 7-point lead now for the Giants. Tried to shave 3 off the deficit. Penetration again for the Giants, this time coming up empty. And fast transition as Prinsloo just about loses his mind being called for the foul. Very animated player is Daniel Prinsloo. Everybody's getting in the ear of the officials today. So Prinsloo will check out of the ball game. Rebound and another opportunity for Bravehearts. Squandered now, Giants off the defensive rebound. Trying to find some room along the baseline. Reed pulls up and nails a beauty. Really making something out of nothing. Rejection, and that will be called for goaltending. I suspected as much. Giants guilty of theft. They squandered that opportunity. There's the score bug. Things Bravehearts probably could have done without seeing that for a while. I'm sure the Giants fans in Jayburg or wherever they may find themselves, they're feeling pretty happy at the moment. 5-day tournament, but you can't underestimate the advantage of a day one win in the tournament. As we get a timeout, it gives us a chance to look at the action for tomorrow, just so you can pencil that in your calendars. I'd say put it in red and circle it if you're a real fan. The morning game is the 11 o'clock tip-off, and that is these Giants against the Basket Hounds of Zimbabwe. Now, the Basket Hounds are really going to have to regroup. They've got a short rest period to do so, but they look very flat indeed against the good side from Mozambique. And the 2 o'clock local time kickoff will feature the Bravehearts here against Dolphins, who have traveled here from Botswana. And then the afternoon, or the early evening special at 5 p.m. local time will feature De against Matero Magic from Lusaka. It'll be interesting to see how Matero do. They play also in today's, well, nightcap, if you will, the last game of the tournament for today. And it'll be interesting to see how they fare, as they will take on the Dolphins from Botswana. And we know that the travel was not easy for any of the teams, and this first day is really going to be more about who can get the cobwebs off the best, and who can really recover from the journey the best. There's a big rejection, a resounding no, sir, from the big fella for the Giants, Nati Sibagnoni. Emphatic shot block. And boy, all of a sudden, Giants got a little bit more spring in their step. Cunningham out to the perimeter and trying to drive the baseline. Turned out to be a rather difficult ask. Get a foul on the drive. And that will send the big fella, Sibagnoni, to the charity stripe to attempt 2 free throws. Nati Sibagnoni. Lovely stroke. And the Giants continue to maintain a little bit of distance between themselves and the Bravehearts. Foul underneath. Sibagnoni cannot round it off. Second chancer, dishes out. Giants are going to have to hurry. Foul called on, I believe, Kadiwa. Trying to be stingy there in the paint. He said this is his swan song. Never say never, but this very well may be his last appearance with the Bravehearts in this international competition. Certainly be a glorious way to go out by securing a spot in the 2026 Basketball Africa League. from 3. Yes, sir. Good looking three-pointer for the Giants. Bravehearts getting a third chance, and well, they say third time's the charm. Certainly seems to be true at the moment for the Bravehearts. Nino Dim. Cross court. Reed, good dish, patiently awaiting his chance. Sibignoni finishes up in fine fashion. And the Giants have built up a 14-point lead. And a chance to make it 16. Or more. Well, it might be or more. Nino Dim at the line to try to make it a three-point trip to their offensive half. Just under 3 minutes to go here in the first half of play. Johnny's trying to get a couple of substitutions in during the free throw preparations. There's Nino Dim. Readies himself for the charity tosses. Couldn't get the finish for Bravehearts. Giants try to push the ball up the floor as quickly as possible. Kicked out by Zabor, and a trace is the end game. And Bravehearts going to have to be careful. Still about 2 minutes left to go here in the first half, and the Giants are really finding the accuracy. Baseline, Prinsloo going over to shut things down. Zobar brings the ball up the floor for the Giants. Swings it out to Malone. Reed now from the point, and Malone back to Liam Reed. And a little bit of the commentator curse, just talking about their accuracy as Reed puts up a misser. And now has just lost watching his mark scamper down to the bucket, but unable to do anything with it. Giants return the favor. A minute and a half. And all that's left showing here on the scoreboard at the NASDAQ Sport Complex in Lusaka. Well, he got past two defenders, but the third one kind of decided to clamp down. And the Bravehearts will inbound the ball. Chirwa inbounds. And Billy decides to throw one up from distance just before the horn. 1:03 to go. Giants looking to pad that lead before they go in to take a quick bit of rest and relaxation. I say go in the locker rooms, but in the first period, there in the first game, both teams opted to stay out on the floor. swung across the court along the arc. Prinsloo comes up empty. He's going to have to come back and rejoin the offensive output. There he is. Hello, Daniel. Everybody thinks it's their ball. There's only one fellow who's going to be right about it. That's the gentleman in gray and black, who has, well, was going to award the ball to the Giants until somebody called a timeout. 11.5 seconds remaining on the scoreboard. .9 lead, or if you're sitting over on the green bench, 19-point deficit. And certainly will be food for thought at halftime, especially for the Bravehearts, as they'll need to muster up a little bit more offense and try to shut down the run and gun offense of the Giants. Get themselves back at the ball game in the second period of play. Second half as well. In the second period. To float an inbounder that goes awry. The Bravehearts trying to come up with a couple of points here in the last seconds of the half. And it will be the Giants to put an exclamation point on their efforts through 2 quarters of play as Ozabor rattles one home. Big Joshua shaking up the rim and giving the Giants a little momentum to take them through halftime. And we'll take those happy feelings ourselves as we take a brief leave and allow everybody to get their kettle of tea boiling at halftime from the NASDAQ Sports Complex in Lusaka. It is 41-20, the Johannesburg Giants leading the Bravehearts from Malawi. We'll be back in a few short minutes to resume activities here from the road to the B.A.L. 2026. Well, welcome back to the NASDAQ Center in Lusaka. We have a resumption of a feed from Zambia, but not a very good one at that, and apologies for that. We seem to be back from whence we came earlier today. We had reasonable bandwidth in the first half, and it's just kind of gone to potty here in the second. And apologies for that. There's still almost 300 of you watching, trying to get the latest updates on your team, and hopefully they can at least put the score bug up so you can follow along there. I'm getting as bad or worse a feed as you at home. As you can see, almost through the third quarter, and Giants still with a 19-point lead over the Bravehearts. So I will stay with you and try to give you any information which is useful, but real live commentary is really next to impossible unless we can get the latency adjusted correctly. We'll see if the signal improves any. We'll take this opportunity to remind you, under the hope that tomorrow, with the motto, new day, new chances, new prizes, maybe better bandwidth, maybe someone can go over and grab somebody's Starlink and hook us up. You know, we've gone back to ground, and I apologize. If we get anyway, I'll get the word in while the getting's good. Tomorrow, Jayberg has the short turnaround, as they will be back here at the venue for the first tip-off of the day, 11 o'clock local time, facing off against the Basket Hounds of Zimbabwe. And the Basket Hounds will look to rebound from, I wouldn't call it a thrashing, but it was a fairly good old-fashioned throttling they received at the hands of De Beira from Mozambique. And they'll look to try to get their tournament chances right, but that'll be against these Giants. And so far, the Giants have been putting in a pretty dominant performance against Bravehearts as time expires here in the third quarter. The Bravehearts will come back for the 2 o'clock, the 2 p.m. local time fixture against aforementioned outfit from Mozambique, Ferroviário de Beira. And true to their Portuguese name, they were very much a train, and it was a train wreck for the Basket Hounds, as it was all green in the first matchup of the day. Well, it looks as though the picture quality, at least the streaming quality, is improving somewhat. We'll hope for the best here for the fourth quarter. And anyway, that's the lineup for tomorrow. I will have the pleasure and privilege of being on the call for both of those matchups. Don't forget, if you want to look ahead to some of the other teams to comp, the last two will play this afternoon, late afternoon, 5 o'clock local tip-off between Matero Magic from right here in Zambia against Dolphins Basketball Club from Botswana. Round off tournament action for day one in the road to B.A.L 2026, as we get set to finish up this afternoon's activities from this matchup. And it is going to take a monumental effort, really a true Braveheart effort, if you will, to topple the Giants. Yeah, at this point, it's starting to look more like David and Goliath. But yeah, you know how that story ended. I'm not making any predictions, and I'm not going to get ahead of myself here. But the Bravehearts are going to have to really get after it here in the early going in the fourth quarter to turn this into a ball game again. And otherwise, they're simply going to have to try to establish a little bit of game rhythm, because it would be very useful indeed to carry a bit of momentum, even if in a losing effort, into the matchup tomorrow, because tomorrow's matchup will be a tough one. I should print out my schedules in slightly larger letter type as we get started here in the fourth quarter. Bravehearts play the Dolphins at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the Giants Basket Hounds game is correct as advertised. Just need to print that out with something larger than a 10-point font before sticking it up on the wall here in the commentary position. My apologies. And good to see a bunch of fans on both sides. Chloe, the Giants are leading, and thanks for joining us here on the broadcast. See plenty of people in the chat. We're still over 300 viewers, which is true fan support, given that the stream has not been all that good so far. Giants for the neutral parties, playing in blue and really blowing the lights out again out of it here in the fourth quarter. Moving from left to right across your screen. Joshua Zabor gets all tucked in for the last bit of this ball game. Over the timeline, Bravehearts still facing plenty of defensive opposition from the Giants. There's a long three that falls, and a few more of those. Could be a different outlook on the prospects for the Bravehearts. Talked earlier in the broadcast about Kadiwa perhaps, or more than likely, being in his last international tournament. But had a wonderful quote that was picked up in an article, one of Malawi's basketball pioneers, really. And that is that he came out with saying, "Discipline, hard work, and passion have carried us from dusty courts to the continental stage." And, they may come up on the short end of the scoreboard this afternoon, but tip of the hat to Bravehearts, because they have indeed made that journey. Everyone in this tournament is on that journey, trying to get themselves into the B.A.L. Expect a lot of drama and passion to play out here on the hardwoods in Lusaka before it's all said and done on Saturday. Two teams will move on to the Elite 16. Kinslow swings it out, gets it back in return. Tolo tries a little drive up the alley and finds the opposition stiff. However, it is fouled, or the blocking foul. Dim will get things restarted for the big fellas. Shot from outside. Stroke looked good. Just could not get it to fall. Tolo is relieved of possession, but by virtue of a foul. Chirwa run up by the official. I have to confess, my real stats are just about as shaky as the feed, and so I don't dare give you a foul count. I'll promise to hash that tomorrow manually so that we can keep better track of game action. Just can't print my myself out a handy-dandy score sheet before the start of the match. Get up and on that. All the bugs will be worked out by the time we tip off tomorrow morning, at least as far as the Giants and the Basket Hounds are concerned. Good drive, just left it a little bit short. And the Giants still looking at fast transition game now. Absolutely not taking the foot off the gas pedal. Winslow cannot come up with the rebound. Bravehearts control. Well, that was an impressive drive backing in through Prinsloo to get to the bucket. That is a big unit you're trying to move in against. Long chooses for Tolo. To Prinsloo. Joshua rejected. I think there was a whistle before the action started, or was that just a continuation? I think the latter. 6:39 remaining, and well, if anything, the clock has now become also an opposing force for the Bravehearts. And that combined with the likes of Nati Sabonyi have just been a lethal combination for the team from Malawi. Kinds of national pride on display this week. See a lot of some of the player quotes. Pete Prinsloo just controlling now had talked about how much this means to represent the city and country. Prinsloo said, we might have guys who once played abroad, but this is 100% South African. And we're proud to carry that flag. And from the Braveheart side, Marcus Cunningham with a lovely quote. We may not have the resources others have, but we've got the heart, and that travels. And no shortage of emotion. And a serious approach to this tournament. Still very much willing to put up a fight. The animation of Daniel Prinsloo after a foul out of it is just something to behold. He's going to get his money's worth, let's put it that way. He checks out of the ball game. Pull-up jumper will not go. And Houston, we have a problem. Or Lusaka, we have a problem, as it were. 5:20 to go. And hopefully we get 5 minutes and 20 seconds of uninterrupted streaming video. Keep your fingers crossed. And when you hit the sack tonight, say a little prayer to the internet gods that tomorrow will be a better day streaming wise. Certainly both teams deserve it. And the effort put forth has been good from both sides. Even though it would now appear that it's going to be the Giants going home to have their rest tonight with a victory notched to open up the tournament. And so important, really. Certainly doesn't exclude the Bravehearts from placing in this tournament, but puts you behind the 8 ball. And for the Giants, win is obviously better than a loss, but just the momentum and the fact that the cobwebs are well and truly dusted off, and I think they've recovered well from travel here to Lusaka. And that'll play out very well indeed with the early morning. No chance to sleep in for the basketballing Giants. Just trying to maybe get a little spark going there, but unable to get his shot to fall. Well, the Bravehearts showing they have zero intention of laying down with just under 5 minutes left to play. And they're going to fight this one out to the bitter end. Nice drive to the hoop, but Giants defense very much up to the challenge. And a quick transition yet once again. Reed rejected on the first try. Second one is a miss of his own accord, but that was Sibioni. Sibioni lumbering back up court. He's got a good old outing for himself today. Tolo. Giants switch sides. Sibioni relinquishes. Deem. Nice drive and a wonderful finish from Sibioni. That was parcel post with request for signature. Delivered as addressed. So 3:43 to go. And the mailman, Sibioni, gets a well-deserved rest on the Pines. Tolo brings the ball past midcourt. Leaves for Ozobar. Pulls up, and Marquis says, not right now. Not this time. Kirk Smith, rather. Billy. And a foul away from the ball. Tembu checks into the ball game. So Kirk Smith heads to the line. Reed, good no-looker. Just could not get the finish with the Giants. So Liam Reed is floored. With 2.5 to go. Couple of late game substitutions. No, a timeout rather. Okay. The Giants call timeout. Well, you can't take them till tomorrow, so if you got something to say and something you want to work on here in the last minute or so, understood. Flosh Nguyen wants one last powwow with his team. And of course, that's an unenviable position for Griffin Kalua, coach of the Bravehearts, just telling the guys, hey, stay out of trouble. Finish strong, and we'll get packed up, go put our feet up and get ready to do it all again tomorrow. Once again, the lineup for tomorrow with regard to these two teams. The 11 o'clock fixture is the Giants versus the Basket Hounds. And at 2 o'clock, we'll tip off Bravehearts against the Dolphins. Day 1 of 5 days. Basketball action from Lusaka. Once again, we'll do our level best to get the gremlins out of the streaming system. Go down there and check the cables and see if we can't get you some better pictures for tomorrow. Basket's tough to come by last couple of minutes. It's almost like the end of practice. You don't want to walk out leaving on a missed shot. Sometimes you have to drop a couple of buckets here. Both teams might have to stay over. Crowd should pick up a little bit as local favorites Matero Magic are in the house for the 5 o'clock tip-off against Dolphins Basketball Club from Botswana. 2 minutes remaining. And really for the Bravehearts to endure. still running serious defensive effort, and you got to applaud that. And as a basketball fan, you got to admire it. Giants, for their part, are absolutely not interested in letting the air out of the basketball. Billy looking for options, and that Giants defense is still swarming. Tenacious D, as they call it. Just can't get a rebound at the moment. Kick out to Billy from the side, and like he started the ball game by dropping threes. It's a pity in the interim they couldn't get more of those to fall. This might have been a slightly different scoreline. Wenga disappears into the dead corner. Plenty of time to size one up, but that does not help Muntali any. And we are under a half minute left to go. Everybody putting up threes. Told you, nobody wants to leave the court without dropping one. Bad luck. Bravehearts chance, yep. All right, 10 seconds left to go. At least the curse will be lifted. And finally, the capitulation as Joshua Ozabor lets the air out of the ball, and we have reached the end. Tough old slog with Johannesburg coming up roses, and taking a victory here on day number 1 of the tourney at the expense of Malawi's bravest of Bravehearts, who stayed in it up to the end, and hopefully they can take that pride and with a night's rest get back here tomorrow and perhaps do better business against the Dolphins. But for now, from the NASDAQ Sports Complex here in Lusaka, the final score is Giants 67, Bravehearts 49. For my part, I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'll hand off to colleague Fabian Zagani, who will present the following broadcast of McDaniel Magic against Dolphins with a tip-off slated for 5 p.m. Lusaka time. For me, till tomorrow. And thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking it out. Lots of lovely fans throughout the broadcast. Nice to see all the wonderful comments, great sportsmanship shown, and credits to everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.